Hey, good morning, Carrie. I'm so excited to have you. Carrie Peele is with us today here at Plaza Bridge Group on the Future Forward series, the interviews that we're doing. And Carrie is the CEO and co-founder of Jade Lending. It's a capital fund that helps women and minority entrepreneurs access money to fuel their businesses. And Carrie, I really, you have shared so many points with me about your own story. You've also started companies and you've sold companies. And I think a lot of our audience is just very much driven to those aspects, whether they're trying to get funding or they have a startup or they're in a larger company in their growth mode. So I think what would help is let you kick off a little bit about your own story, a little bit about your career path and how it drove you to this journey of doing startups and then ultimately getting into this wanting to help women and minorities get funded.
Thank you, Teresa. You're so kind, and thank you for having me. My story starts where a lot of women that kind of got kicked a little bit and decided, hey, you may be able to kick me and keep me down, but you'll never keep me down. I may go down, but you'll never keep me down.
Love
And
that.
so I was in my early 20s. I had two young daughters. I was newly divorced, and I knew that if I was going to be able to control my destiny, that I would have to do it myself.
Oh,
I couldn't
interesting.
rely on the man on the white horse to do it. And at the time, I wanted to start a company, and I landed on luxury transportation.
How did you land on luxury transportation? I find that so interesting.
The interesting part about it is luxury transportation really rolls on the weekends. We were talking back into the early 90s with limousines and that sort of thing. And the girls were with their dad on the weekend. So that pretty much
Wonderful.
can you be a waitress or buy a limousine? What would it be? Working on the weekend. What is it going to be? And the most amazing thing is what I can say about my daughter's father is he is a great guy. The best thing that I did, Teresa, is pick the best daddy for my children.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
In that, but I mean, these girls were very happy, and they allowed me to work on the weekends.
Yeah.
And so I remember I got in my little suit and went to the bank and said, okay, I'm Carrie Peele, and I'd like to borrow $45,000 for this limousine. Where's your husband?
Yeah.
I don't have a husband. Well, what can we use for collateral and blah, 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 and the list and and they said, thank you so very much, but no, thank you. And so I left that meeting and kind of went, Gary, you're good at this stuff. Figure it out, figure it out. And so at the time, in the mail came 3 credit cards for me. I think back in the 90s, the credit card companies didn't talk to each other like they talk to each other now, like they know everything. And they allowed me to take out cash advances on these credit cards. I'm there like, well, if you won't give me any money, I'll figure it out. And I remember walking into the bank and I had my 3 credit cards, and I put them down on the counter, and I said to the young woman, the teller, I said, I want to take 5,000 on this one, 5,000 on this one, and 5,000 on this one. And I want you to put it in this brown paper bag and it's cash, because I'm going to give it to that guy out there that has that limousine. And I remember going, Carrie, Miss Peele, really? There's a lot of things that could go wrong here. Okay. But I'm a Christian woman, and I believe the dear Lord just looks out for fools like me every day, Teresa, every day. Don't worry, everything's going to be okay. And it actually was okay. There could have been a million things that went wrong with that little scenario, with me walking out of the bank with 15,000
Sure.
cash in a brown paper bag. And, could have been a bad title, could have been whatever, but it was okay. I bought this limousine and, wrong color, wrong size, wrong everything, but I don't know how I made it work. So I was driving it, washing it, booking it, just everything. And on the weekends. And the next thing I know, we could buy 2, then we could buy 3, then we could buy 4, then we could get, then I could give up my day job of, Monday through Friday work. And it was a pretty short period of time that we did this. And so I remember I was in a little town called Laurinburg, North Carolina, Teresa.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And I knew I had to go to either Raleigh or Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte. The big cities.
Okay.
For me to be able to grow. And people ask me all the time, oh, you did data surveys, you were driven by these numbers and this. And I wish I could say that I was that smart, but I really wasn't. I took a quarter and I went up in the air, heads Raleigh, tails Charlotte. And it was heads.
Well, and you must have had a really good intuition that, what was going on. But you grew this company to be quite large and then sold it, correct?
Quite large. We were the largest woman-owned luxury transportation company in the South. And the most beautiful thing about it is Teresa, and what folks ask me sometimes, Carrie, you're in a male-dominated industry, did you just, was it so difficult? And I would used to always say, I use it to my advantage. There are many times where I just kind of played the Southern gal and maybe knew, I always kind of knew the answers to the questions that I were asking, but they didn't know that. And we were able to acquire contracts and just keep on building and building and building. And
that's you bring up a really good point, because you knew what to leverage and how might you share with people that are watching this video? How do you pick those times or those moments or those things? How do you know? Is there some intuition or tricks or things you could share?
There's always a gut.
Yeah.
Feeling. And with me, it was, I always walked into a room that I knew the outcome. And how we do that is we set up the room beforehand. So
you anticipated, you use some anticipation and planning. Excellent.
And I would say, Teresa, yes, you would sometimes act like an airhead, but you knew exactly what you were doing.
Right.
And had it all planned out. Now, I will share that 80% of the time came out of the room went, that worked exactly the way that we had planned. And then the other 20% was like, dang, what?
Yeah.
I didn't see that one coming. And again, I'm a woman of faith, so I always knew that the dear Lord was putting obstacles in front of me to either overcome, learn from, or share.
Yeah.
And we were very fortunate. In 2014, we went after the largest single event in the state of North Carolina, which was the US Open. And we did very well.
That's awesome.
I also knew that our industry was changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I will put this on my tombstone, Teresa. Leaders live in the future. So if you are operating your business in a day-to-day manner and you're the CEO or you're the one that's driving it, you're going to get lost.
Yeah.
You need to know what you are doing 2 years. You've got to have the spreadsheets, the 2 years, the 4-year plan, the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan. Then you got to figure out how you're going to cut that in half.
Yeah.
And And that's
Isn't
what,
that a little bit also visioning the future? As if you can vision it, you can build the steps more easily to that future, which I think sometimes gets lost, especially in times like now when there's so much uncertainty that it's even more important, it seems like.
absolutely. And, but I knew that our industry, the transportation industry, was changing. I knew technology was coming in that we couldn't keep up with.
Yeah.
We knew that Uber was coming. We knew that Lyft was coming. And it was the right time to sell.
Uh,
And so you pick this huge event where the business is influxed with cash, and everybody looks at you going like, yes, yes, let's we want her company. So
you sold it to them.
sold it, sold it to them.
That's awesome.
We had several buyers. I went to my team and I said, who do y'all want to work for?
Yeah.
Pick the one you want. So, and that's how it happened. And
Well, I guess there's two things there. One, you were very open with your team then about the selling, included them. So you must have had a really good culture that you built of that transparency and openness. What do you think that helped you do?
well, I have always tried to have transparency with my team. I want them to know how vulnerable I am sometimes and how I just don't know all the answers.
Right.
And we started many years ago, and there's a book called Traction or EOS.
I think a lot of people know that book. Yeah.
Um, and it's all about the process. And
Mhm.
I just started um, being around women's groups and very successful women. I always say I'm the dumbest person in the room. All my friends are smarter than me. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to learn. I want to. And as much as I love to talk, there are many times where I just say, not going to say anything. Please just teach me what you do. And that is one thing that's on my vision board. Every
Yeah.
day I learn something new every day.
So where do you find, if you were helping someone, and again, the audience listening to this, where would you say to go look for these different groups that might be most impactful as they were for you?
Absolutely. So there's incredible groups that are out there that you can surround yourself with smart women. One is, I will say, is the Women's Presidents Organization.
Yeah.
That is a group, it's an international company that you are just surrounded with women who are CEOs. They are the captains of their ships.
Yeah.
And they have sailed in many waters that I've never have, but are more than happy to share where the icebergs are and where's the clear sailings are.
Right.
That's an incredible group, and I've been involved with them for years and years. In fact, I facilitate the Raleigh chapter. Another wonderful group is Enterprising Women. These are women, again, they're entrepreneurs. They're anywhere from 1 million to $1 billion, $2 billion that we get together. Another is, of course, Athena International, which it again, smart group of women that is more in the give back. It's a nonprofit. In fact, we started and founded that Athena of the Triangle, which is a license of Athena International back in 2014. The Know Women, which is a relatively new group, about 5 years. These women are just on fire and they just love sharing.
Mhm.
And you know, and a lot of these things, if I tell Teresa how to succeed, and four other folks say to Teresa how, Teresa, look at some ideas here, and you just kind of pick and choose what works for you. And no, that's not my jam.
Yeah.
But it's just surrounding yourself with these group of women who are extraordinary in their thought process, in their strategies, in their knowledge, and working through the process, which is traction EOS. And it doesn't make any difference whether or not we have capital lending, whether or not we have a luxury transportation business, we have a podcast business, we have whatever. The process is always the same. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't.
Yeah, and I think what you're bringing up is, regardless of the traction and their other books and other methodologies, have one. You're basically saying, let's make sure you have a framework for success that works for your company and live by it.
And don't let me forget the Women's Business Collaborative. My good friend Edie Frazier started that group of women, super strong.
We're going to interview her on Thursday. Yeah, next week. Yeah.
Tell her I said hello, but Edie is amazing. Sarah Benkin is amazing. Camille Burns is amazing. And all these women bring together us high functioning women that
Right.
we all have a drive. And I'll just tell you a little bit about Teresa. People ask me all the time, your drive, your energy. And I always tell them, I never chase money. Never chase money. I chase wins. Every day I journal 3 wins a day. And my win today is going to be interviewed with Teresa. That's a really great win, right? And we mentor 126 8th graders at a STEM school.
That is so cool.
And you know, they go like, I'm just, all the little 8th graders is, I want to be rich. I want to have money. I want to have that. And I'm like, no. I said, if you chase money, what you do for that money could be not of good things.
Yeah.
Not of good things.
Yeah.
And so you may want to lie to get money. You may have to steal to get money. You may tell an untruth. But a win is, we just had, I was that kid, Teresa, you know, in the dodgeball that always wanted to be the last one standing, you know, that kind of girl. And
Right.
And that is a trait amongst these women that have started their companies, and where 99 people are telling them that they're failed, but one just says, you know what, Teresa, you are not going to fail. Here's what we can do.
Yeah.
Here's what we can do. And let's all get a group of us together to help Teresa make it and be successful and get to the point in their life where they're helping, and they're, you know, what I always say is my hand is always back pulling, always pulling. And because I want more women in charge of their future.
You know, and one, I think that's terrific. And in my book, I wrote the book, All That I Am, Now That I Know. It's like the now that I know part, right? We all want to know now that I know. So, you know, I'm sharing all these things in the book, my lessons learned. We've had, you know, just this growth and wealth of mentoring organizations for women, and you know, more minorities starting to be impacted positively too. What has mentoring that role played in your life? And is there one or two people that you can point to that were the most influential to you?
Oh, absolutely. I will tell you, one of my wins back in the early 2000s was a good friend of mine, Mary Contando, who all of us women in business adore. She was the facilitator of the Women's Presidents Organization. And to get to that group, you had to do $1 million in revenue. And I just chased Mary all the time. And Mary would say, not yet. Not to that $1 million yet. I said, Mary, you are my inspiration. I'm going to get to that point. And I remember the day exactly where I was that my CPA said, you've crossed over the threshold. You've made your first $1 million. And the first call, it wasn't to my mother. It wasn't to my children. It was to Mary Contando going like, I did it. I did it. We're there. Can you send me an application? I really want to belong to this incredibly smart group of women.
Yeah.
And I've been involved ever since.
That's wonderful. So to that point, there are certain thresholds that are the most challenging to get over. And that first one, the $1 million one, is, as much as we try and hard, it is one of the hardest ones to get over. Any tips? And you've shared a lot, but are there any specific tips? And I couch that with a lot of startups think that going after money is the easy route. It's not. Maybe you could share a few thoughts that you have on how to get over that threshold, and maybe how to look at funding in a light that is the healthiest.
Correct. And so you have to have a plan. Again, Teresa, what I shared with you is leaders live in the future. They don't do the day-to-day stuff. So you've got to be able to, I've been doing this for years, is I take a couple, 3 days, and I just go off by myself. And I just start thinking, where do we want to go? How do we want to get there? And who's going to help us get there? And write it all down, put it in a spreadsheet, work that spreadsheet, work those numbers, know what your burn rates are, know how you're going to get there. How many wins do you have to have? And what do those wins look like to be able to get you to that threshold? And that is, sometimes you just have to get really quiet.
Yeah.
And say, yep, that's what we're going to do. And then I'm a huge visual person, so I have vision boards and that's what the beautiful thing about traction on our level 10 meetings. It's very transparent. This is where our team is going to go and how we're going to get there, and let's go. Let's all get her done. So,
And from what I'm hearing, you're not afraid to ask for help, one, but two, you also know what to ask for because you're planned. And I find sometimes that's a challenge with others, that they don't know what to ask for in many cases, or they're a little afraid to even ask because they feel like it's saying something that they don't know and they should know it.
I read a book many years ago, Teresa, with Why Women Won't Ask. Why women won't ask. And we leave over $2 million on the table because we don't speak up. Whether or not that's in the world of, being paid or going after contracts or any of that. But yes, women just need to ask. And we're talking strong women. And that doesn't make you weak. It makes you very strong because you're asking, and it's not as much so as asking for help, is, hey, Teresa, I have this kind of little bubble here, and would you just look at it? And from your set of view, what does that look like to you? And if you had that bubble, what would you do different?
Excellent questions. Excellent way to have it, to ask, right?
Absolutely. And sometimes we come up, and we do that all the time.
Mhm.
Now with as many women as we possibly can, is I need to get here. I'm a little stuck here. So what is your thoughts on getting here? How do we get there?
So if you do help women and the minorities in their funding efforts, can you share a little bit about, so people know what to expect? What are the services that you offer? What should people should they come and ask you for help? What do you want from that? How do you help?
There's an incredibly smart woman. Remember, I told you that I just follow these smart women, is Dr. Lynn Yanyo, and she was in my WPO group. And I actually brought her into WPO. We laugh about it. I say I stalked her. She was just an incredibly smart woman that was educated beyond belief, smarter than I could ever possibly imagine. PhDs, doctorates, all this. But she was very calculating in, we start here, we end here, and this is the road that we're going to take.
Yeah.
I said to her, I said, Lynn, you and I are at a point in our lives where we've been incredibly blessed. So let's go out there and start blessing other women that we're not able to get capital
Yeah.
to in their companies for whatever reason. And she actually had a lot of patents with her name on it.
Oh, wow.
In particular, she went to venture capital groups out in California, and they said, no,
Yeah.
no. And she said, well, if I was a man and didn't have blonde hair, would that make any difference? And back then, it kind of did.
Yeah.
So Lynn said yes. So we came up with a fund, and we've asked 12 of our friends that have been blessed to put money into this fund. It's called Jade Lending.
Mhm.
And we pay them an interest rate. So it's not philanthropy.
Right.
We believe in, if you got to work for it and you got to pay it back.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we have this fund, 7-figure fund. Let's go find women that have been turned down by the bank. And we are now have 7 women in the last 8
That's
months
great. Yeah.
went up to $150,000, Teresa. Now, the secret sauce in this is one that you have Lynn Yanyo is on your team now, because we mentor them once a week for 30 minutes. And it's
Right.
not, Teresa, do you have the money to pay us back? No. That's it. It's, Teresa, what were your wins this week? And tell me what's keeping you up at night.
Yeah.
And normally, what's keeping you up at night is pretty easy. If you just let us know, it's pretty, they're not big things. They're not big things. And normally the biggest things are always employees.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Always employees. I lost my chef. I lost my office manager. I lost, oh God, now it's, and we work through all of that. But the women that we've mentored with Jade Lending, and we give them the capital that they need. They have to build their spreadsheet. We look at everything on their spreadsheet. As long as their spreadsheet stays in black,
Yeah.
everything is good. When it shows up in red, let's look at that.
Right.
We're not ready to throw the baby out with bathwater. We're okay. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out where we're going to go, how we're going to get there, and how we're going to achieve our next win. So, but and these women, just a short story. One is she is a woman plumber that had the opportunity to take on a contract for Home Depot, which was worth about $1.3 million.
Wow.
And to provide water heaters for a store. Okay. And she needed to purchase $100,000 worth of water heaters.
Yeah.
And she just did not have the funds.
Yeah.
I remember her sharing, she said, I said, do you, anything you need? And she said, no, I'll be fine. My bank is going to give me a line of credit. I've been dealing with my bank for 26 years. They know that I'm in the 800s in my credit score. I've never been late with a bill. They just have all of my numbers. And then the bank did not give her a line of credit.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remember, always get your line of credits before you need them. Okay.
Yeah.
First today, please go out there and get it before. And so here she had $100,000 worth of water heaters coming in on Friday, and this was Wednesday at noon. And she she said, I'm really worried about it. And we said, don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about it. We'll deliver the check. Deliver the check on Friday. You deposit it, and all is good. So she went from this contract of 1.3 million that she added to her base.
Mm-hmm.
Home Depot said, you are doing a fantastic job. We want to give you another 1.5. We want to give you. And so if she did not have that fuel she couldn't do it.
I love that story for so many reasons, because I don't care if you're a 50 million, 100 million, 10 million, $1 million company. When you're getting these big contracts, a lot of times they take capital investment. And if you haven't thought through those, it can be a challenge. So you're absolutely spot on that. That's great. Well, so I guess we've got two more questions, maybe time for, and I think one of them I really want to ask, which I ask everybody, because I talk to so many young and just multi-generational. I mean, everybody is still wanting to work, whether they're, my age or they're my daughter's age or younger. And I am talking to so many people that the answer is, well, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do, but I want to go do this. I want to go start my own business, but I don't know what to do. What do you tell people of every age group that, one, you're not too old, and I fully believe you're not too old and you're never too young, but what do you tell them with the answers? Well, I don't really know what I want to do.
Well, what you want to do is do something that, first of all, you enjoy.
Yeah.
And then I get right down in the weeds. Is I'm all about reoccurring revenue.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
all about finding the niche that somebody else is not filling, that you know you can do better. Okay. What are your strengths? What do you like to do? If you like
Self-discovery. Oh, yeah.
and you don't have to do it all, because I've always been incredibly blessed with I've been blessed with a woman in on my team for over 20 years, Linda Sellers, that she's the exact opposite than me, Teresa.
Mm.
She's the one that is looking at it and going, money, 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 here, here. You can't, that's not, that, but she's the one on the ground that really figures it all out. I'm up here, I'm the kite, I'm a visionary. She's the, one that looks after the numbers and the books and all that stuff. So you just find that those right team members that can put things together.
So a question there, because I get this a lot. And I'm used to working with people via Zoom or all over, but do you have an allegiance to find that network in your community or find it anywhere? I mean, yeah.
Zoom has allowed to do everything right here, you and I connecting. Okay, we've grown all of our companies in the last 2 years, and we've pivoted just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Now share your screen.
Yeah.
You're on mute, or share your screen.
Yeah.
Here's the proposal. Run through it. What do you think? Like it, Carrie? Let's go ahead. Let's get her done. So you don't have to sit in front of I had a friend who, old school, and he said to me, you caught how many wins, and you didn't have to go to the golf course, and you didn't have to take them to dinner. And I know times are changing. Times are changing. We can do anything now.
Such a good lesson, right? Well, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
I think women, we're in an incredible time now that we can ask, we can achieve, and there are going to be a million roadblocks, but it's okay, because each one of these doors that are shut in your face, you've learned something.
Yeah.
I am of the abundance mentality. There's abundance of everything. So I'm not going to squabble about this. We just go on to the next one, go on to the next one. Help this one, help this one. You're in the same industry as I am. I'd love to help you. How can I help you? Abundance.
And I think and we talked about this when we were speaking about this interview, that there's so much dark news, and it's scary. I mean, it's creating a lot of uncertainty and certainly fear in people. So, trying to find those ray of lights and staying focused and not getting so bogged down in the news. I mean, certainly we need to stay current and kind of plan and assess our futures, but any parting words that you could share in these just really such uncertain times about keeping that abundant mindset?
Wow, I will tell you this, Teresa, I do not watch any news.
Yeah,
It's on. I don't read about the dark side. My Miss Linda, if I see a flag at half staff, I'll call her and I go, okay, what happened? What happened? I missed something here. And she'll fill me in. She loves filling me in on that. But I just never let the negative, don't let, I know that our economy is going to change in the
Yeah.
third quarter. I
Yeah.
know that 2023 that we are going to be in a recession. I think it's gonna stay until 2024. I already have the plan in place.
which is anticipation and build your plan. Anticipate whether it happens or not, you're prepared,
Absolutely. So here's scenario one,
right?
no recession. Here's
Yep.
scenario two on it is a recession. Money's going to get tight, that sort of thing. Where are we going here? And then we just play it. If you have a plan, it's you just follow the plans. And if you have two, there you go. And whichever happens, you got a plan, and find people around you who are smarter than you and that would be willing to share and help. And the other thing is, Teresa, I will share this, is my job every day is to connect people on finding what they need.
Right.
And it comes back tenfold.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does.
And so
Well,
it's not money.
yeah,
Get yourself on a good program like EOS or Traction. Be very transparent. When you start hiding stuff, it's not a good thing. And transparency is vulnerable too. You gotta, it's okay to be vulnerable. And just, again, find your network of men and women that will support you and help you. You're looking for the sponsors of the world.
yeah.
That are and think about Teresa. So
No, that's excellent. I like to say trauma doesn't make an appointment. And so if you have the plan and you have these resources surrounding you, and if you're in a remote area and you're struggling to find the network, find it online, but build this support system around yourself. And I add one more thing, because sometimes when we're feeling anxiety and stress, when I'm talking to people, you tend to pull in. And that's the time you should let out. That's the time you should really leverage this network. So listen, I greatly appreciate the time with you. Fascinating story. And there's so many things that we didn't even get to, but we'll have to do this again. But thank you, Carrie Peele. Is there any, do you want people to reach out to you, or we could put that in the
absolutely. I spend my entire Friday. There's no appointments on my schedule, and I am here for anybody to mentor, to sponsor, reach out to help. I'm real easy to find. You just Google my name, Carrie Peele. You can reach out to my email. I actually even have a calendar that you can go to and book your own times.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to help. Carrie@cpeelgroup.com. I mean, you can text me at 919-606-2100. And again, we're all transparent, and I'd love to be able to connect and help, because I remember where I was when I knew that I had to take control of my future back in the 20s, and I had two little babies that were depending upon me.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Where we are today is quite a bit different from where we were back.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much. We'll make sure that we're putting some of that information also when we post our interview. But thank you very much. It's great.
Doing what you do. It's very important that we have exceptional women like you sharing things that are possible for everybody.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Great.